Welcome back, my little video heads of Video Head Cleaner, where we take a big snort of a movie, leaving ours and hopefully your head spinning. As always, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Tommy.
Today what we have for you to take a hit of is the movie Drop, a film that premiered in March 2025 at South by Southwest, and that actually fully premieres for you to watch on April 11th, this coming Friday. It hasn't. We caught an advanced screening of it, luckily, thanks to Tommy.
Yes, because I am very important.
He's extremely connected. You should be so lucky, frankly.
Yes.
You may have seen a trailer for this film to date. It is a thriller that we're looking at. What's going on in this movie, Tommy?
Well, let's see. Drop is... I'm trying to think, like what subgenre of thriller is this? The basic premise is that a woman is being held hostage by way of an airdrop-like app, and the person behind it who is terrorizing her, first with just memes and then with ever more real and salient threats to both herself and her child and her loved one, and also the blind date that she is with. It becomes a kind of cat and mouse game where she tests the boundaries of her virtual captivity in this game and setup that she finds herself in, with potentially very deadly consequences to herself and everyone around her, and again her child. It
really is kind of a subgenre at this point, where like a man with a phone or something is sort of pulling the strings on the back end, and perhaps the other people around him don't know what's going on. Like, I think one of the best examples of it recently, of course, it just came out in Christmas, was Carry On with Taron Egerton, where Jason Bateman plays man with phone pulling strings in background and says, you have to do this, where he's a TSA agent. And the most famous one I think you mentioned when we saw this was Speed.
And now that I think about it, Scream.
Yeah,
Scream. Yet again, it's a film where a menacing male presence is terrorizing a woman over a phone. And it's I guess maybe the Scream genre was whatever we might call this in some ways. Yeah.
It's the manipulating from afar, the striking psychological terror in your heart genre with technology. Now it can go straight into your hearts.
I would say maybe in some ways it's kind of like a gothic horror film. It's a film about captivity by a strange, maybe even alien entity. I don't know. I might be getting a little ahead of myself, but anyway, let's get into the plot and the story.
Sure,
here.
Absolutely.
All right. So the main character.
This movie opens first off giving us almost no context on what's happening. We open on her bloody, beaten face, so she's kind of rolling over, and we really have no idea what's happening. We don't know if this is a flash forward to what's going to happen in the movie. We don't know if this is a flashback necessarily. All we see is our, and we don't even know this yet, main character, where she's just in a rough spot, and we see a looming figure come into the room and loom over her, and then he's pointing a gun at her, and so she's clearly not having the best day. We'll see. We'll start from there.
It's definitely her under duress and with imminent threat of violence and death against her and her child. Kind of an ongoing theme and recurring moment in this film, for sure. And that's just how it begins. Again, like Kyle said, with no context whatsoever.
We don't know their relationship even. We know he's pointing a gun at her, and then he seems to be mad at her, of course, and he seems to be about to kill her, but all of a sudden he hands her the gun and is like, no, you do it. Why don't you go ahead and do this? Which it flips it on his head right away, and he then puts the gun straight to his forehead and puts her finger on the trigger and is like, do it, just kill me, which again is devoid of all context. We're sitting there thinking, what in God's name is happening right away? This is not within the trailer, but...
as we find out soon enough, this character, her name's Violet, is a psychiatrist.
Well, that's where we jump to, because the way that scene ends, mind you, is Violet is... we don't see that she pulls the trigger, but she screams, ah! And then has her finger halfway through the trigger, and then we cut. We cut to her saying... almost in a 1980s rewind sort of way. The line that transitions us is, let's go back a few seconds. And so we're not sure if we're going to jump back and see what's going on here, but turns out no. Yes, we instead see Violet, as you've mentioned. She's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, so she's counseling a patient, and pretty quickly into the film, we discover that she is in particular a specialist in domestic abuse counseling, and it couldn't be any more obvious what her inspiration is, and she basically says that it's because of her past experience with her own very abusive husband and that abusive domestic situation, which then clues us into what that opening scene was about, or shed some light on it, right? It was
and at least heavily hints at it. And she sort of peels back that layer more and more. She's really talking to her patient about stuff and trying to really derive worth from this person who just called herself worthless. She's coaching her through it. She seems to be good at her job, and it does at least heavily hint that she knows how to deal with this. And we'll find out a bit more about that as it goes on. But yes, we do learn around this time her name is Violet, and she's really helping this woman out. And right after this happens, she goes through. She gets up. She's done. She gets a text from somebody named Henry who says, last chance to back out. We don't know much about this again yet. But as this happens, she is startled by a man knocking on her window who just scares the shit out of her.
Yeah. Someone who appears to be from the electric company, a utility worker here to read her meter. Perhaps a classic setup to something being sabotaged or some plot being hatched. Tell me, Kyle, did he seem suspicious almost immediately? My first thought when this character appeared was, oh, come on, really?
Yeah,
really?
Given the type of movie it is, it's certainly raised an eyebrow at minimum here. But I also want to call out that he does look very similar to the man in the first scene. And I'll just say this right away. There's about 6 male characters in this movie, and 5 of them could be in a lineup, and I might not pick them apart because I don't know if they were allergic to casting blonde men or redheaded men or people of any kind or people that shaved in a different way.
Or at all.
5 of these 6 characters are brown-haired men with brown eyes and full brown beards. Yeah. And so at a certain point, they're trying to do a reveal or something, or really they're like, this is this character and that's that or whatever. And God help anybody with face blindness that sees this movie or that thinks all white people look the same, because you're right in this movie. They do actually. So
this film doesn't help. No. Yeah, no. Whoever was casting, or whoever was giving the ultimate green light, they had a type. They really do. And I believe there is only one cleanly shaved male face in this, and we'll get to that later, and it'll make sense as to why maybe this is important.
Or again, even one other male in the movie that doesn't have brown hair, and so it's just a wild thing to have happened. But he does. He goes in, he's going to check in the meter in the back, apparently, as we see. And so we start to give a little slow reveals of what's happening, of who Henry might be that texted her. And we also get the hint that Violet does have a child named Toby. Yes. And we kind of start off from here with a POV shot that's interesting of a remote control car coming around the house with a little letter in the truck thing we can see that says, "Hi, Mommy," scrawled out in crayon. It ultimately finds Violet and bumps into her shin really kind of hard. She reacted very little with this child ramming her shin with like a top speed with a little Hummer-esque remote control car. That threw me a touch. She just kind of like puts her hands up and says, "Oh, you child," or whatever. But I'm like, shit, that would hurt me. Like,
yeah, it's a hint as to her being made of she's made of stern stuff, as we discover later in this film. And I'm just gonna hold off for now.
For sure. So she opens the letter though, and she sees Sir Toby is hiding, scrawled in crayon. So she smiles. She kind of stops what she's doing to go play this little hide and seek game with her son that clearly has probably done this before with her. And so she walks through the house, peeks in a room or two, and says, "Oh, is Toby here? Is Toby here?" And then after that one, the second one, she turns and looks, and turns out Toby is dog shit at hiding. Toby is clearly just like 3/4 of the way out in the hallway with maybe 1/4 of his body behind the door. But Violet's like, "Oh, where could Toby be?" in classic parental fashion.
Yeah, it's cute, and the only problem is that he has a haircut that makes it seem like maybe he's not all that bright, and unfortunately, it's just a haircut that just is so tragic that no, Toby's just a normal little kid. There's nothing wrong with Toby. You're gonna think there is though, and it's just the haircut. I'm just warning you now. He's just a cute normal kid.
Yeah, this is on Violet too. He's 5. He didn't pick this haircut.
I had to resist a real snarky impulse watching this film, thinking, "Wait, he's not like special." No,
it's just 5. It seems.
It's just a haircut that I don't know how this got through. Anyway,
and so he jumps out. Toby's like, "I got you, Mom," and she's like, "Oh my God, you got me, Toby!" And he stabs her with a sword, and Violet cries, "Oh, I've been mortally wounded." But as this is happening, her sister enters the house. Violet's sister, Jin. Toby runs over and says, "Auntie Jin," which is really how we're revealed on this because they're not wanted to tip all their cards quite yet on stuff. But Jin looks like a good aunt, if not a snarky bitch of a sister, because the first thing she does upon entering the house is critique Violet's outfit. Again, Violet has a terrible fashion sense, so Toby's haircut makes more sense in the context of this awful dress she's wearing.
It does. That's a good observation. It makes sense in the context for sure.
And so this is when we first find out that Violet is going on a first date here, and that is who Henry is going to be, and that she's met this person Henry on the apps, and Jin is going to do her damnedest to get Violet out of this awful outfit and into something presentable for Henry.
And does a fairly successful job. So we do discover that Violet has it in her, or at least in her wardrobe, and with some prompting, can look, quite nice for her blind date with rugged, manly photographer Henry, who enters later. But let's talk about the restaurant where.
For sure. So Jin does get Violet into a lovely swooping V-neck red dress with titty cleavage out. It's looking a lot better than the first 2 outfits because she does come out a second time looking like a candy cane and just laments. In another way of just as the slow exposition we're getting, Violet laments the fact that she only has work clothes and that she doesn't have date clothes, insinuating she's not been on a date in quite some time, which we learn to be the truth, as it goes on here. And so as she steps out in her snatched red dress, she bids farewell to Toby and Jin and is fairly nervous about it, seemingly, because if she's not been on a date in a long time, we're also to insinuate she's not left Toby in a long time with somebody, perhaps. And
this is actually an important point, as we're going to discover. She is very much required to be checking her phone, and this will be an important element, as we're about to discover very soon. The restaurant.
Tell me about the restaurant, Tommy.
Let's see. It is named Palette.
She pulls up and is just staring up at it.
P-A-L-A-T-E. Palette.
It's a very tall, very top of building restaurant
with a very, very fussy spelled name. So it's perfect. It's of course meant to connote a certain pretense all its own.
And it's very fancy. I mean, if it's the penthouse suite-esque building, I've worked in a building that's had a top floor restaurant before that also considers itself quite swanky. And so she takes the elevator up, and you find that to be very much the case.
And it does have a very sweeping view. Again, it is top floor, so heights. It's very much an element of this context in the restaurant that this unfolds in.
Which, by the way, apparently they built an entire restaurant for this. They had chefs running. It was like, I think, a couple 100,000 square feet or something. They had to stop actors at times who were eating 5 steaks when they were like, slow down, because the food was apparently delicious. They really committed to this build, including this tunnel we're going to see that Violet goes down immediately as the entryway to the restaurant. That also sort of has a bit of significance for what's going on here. But they really committed to this, apparently.
I think to good effect. It's a great visual element. She's passing through this very kind of intimidating tunnel to get from the lobby to the main restaurant area, and it does serve as a great framing device all its own in order to imply that she's now in a very different space. And it's a kind of a feeling and implication at first, and then we discover, no, this is actually very true. Something is perhaps going on.
For sure. And as luck would have it, we have still not met Henry or her date yet, because she gets a text from him saying he's running 10 minutes late and to go order herself something fancy at the bar. So she goes over to the hostess, asks if that's okay, and does in fact go to the bar, where she sits down and is apparently nervous enough that the bartender immediately clocks it. I don't know if she's quite shaking like a leaf, but she doesn't seem comfortable, we'll say here.
Yeah, the bartender... attentive, more or less the ideal bartender, especially for a single woman on a blind date.
Oh my God, I forgot, though. Yeah. Before she even makes it to the bar, she bumps into another brown-haired man with a beard, mind you, and drops her phone.
It's amazing. It's only one, considering how many of these men are in this film. But yeah, there's a guy in this bar who's just his whole thing is just bumping into people.
And given the pretext of this movie, we're perhaps led to become or to believe that this could be something sinister. Perhaps he's the suspect to this or that, because
we're primed to see it in a menacing way, right? That again, just a single woman on a blind date being accosted by some maybe just douchebag at a bar, or is it? Yeah.
For sure. And so she's not necessarily on a blind date herself, but the first person she talks to, aside from the bartender, as this is happening, as the bartender is getting her drink, somebody steps up to her and says, "Diane? Are you Diane?" And Violet's like, "Oh, honey, no. Thank you. No." And it is an older man, so she's probably like, "Oh, thanks, but definitely not." And he's very talky. She doesn't really want to talk to him, we're getting the impression of, but he is chatty.
Yes. Another restaurant goer, also on a blind date. His name's Richard. He's an older man.
He's the one on the blind date, mind you.
Yeah.
He's stated to be dating the one lady in Chicago with no social media. So he is yet to see her, and that is why he mistakes our character as Diane here, for instance.
Yes, exactly. It again, innocent interaction, or is it? We're already kind of wondering.
And Violet is very quickly somewhat saved from this awkward interaction that keeps continuing. I'm sure you've had an interaction like this before, where you have a little, good talk, but then the person keeps talking to you, and you're like, oh God, I wish you wouldn't. But as luck would have it, or not, again, we'll see. She is... she's a couple seats down from this man, and somebody comes and sits right between them. Another fucking brown-haired, brown-bearded man who happens to end up being the pianist of this restaurant, who somewhat hits on her a little bit. It's light, it's enough. He's like, "Hey, baby, what's your favorite song? I can play it for you because I'm the big pianist of this restaurant." And he has big pianist energy, we'll say.
Yeah, he does have big pianist energy, for sure. I don't know how quickly I can say big pianist, so I'll just be very careful. But yeah, poor Violet. She's just accosted by one obnoxious dude after another. First, someone just bumps into her, and then some awkward older doofus mistaking her for his date, and now the kind of deep in the drink pianist and just the bar crooner kind of saddling up to the bar and interrupting / kind of saving her from the conversation that she was locked in previously, but now she's locked in engagement with yet one more obnoxious guy.
That's not her date, that she's not here for. Yeah,
Will her date ever arrive?
That's absolutely the energy we're getting here. And at this moment, the lady bartender comes back and does kind of try to shoo away the pianist, to be like, shoo, she's on a date now, don't do this, and clearly does not like this person. She later calls him a sleazeball a few seconds later. But before he shoot off, Violet does reveal that perhaps the song that, if any, she would like the pianist to play is Baby Shark. Very, very clearly indicating to the bartender who picks up on it, oh, you have a child, because...
she throws this out, the suggestion, rather dismissively, of the drunken pianist, but it's important later.
It'll come back around, yeah, for sure.
Or just charming later. It's
but
a charming
the pianist says he'll
later.
see what he can do, and he walks back martini in hand, because as Tommy mentioned, yes, we're getting the casually drunk vibe, having a great time, just a musical man.
More actively drunk vibe. Yeah.
And around this
Seriously
time,
drunk.
too, yes, the awkward gentleman also sort of is steered away from Violet by the fact that his date arrives. Diane does show up, and Diane does not particularly look happy to see him. I don't know if she also did not see his picture, or if they both just decided it was truly, truly blind here, but Diane did not look pleased.
Which I'm trying to recall if there's any indication as to why, or if it's just you take one look at this guy and you're just going to be displeased with. I don't know. I'm trying to recall. What's his significance?
I don't know. They're about the same age. I mean, if anything, you'd be like, oh, he's an older man type something. But Diane's no spring peach herself here in this instance. And they seem age appropriate for each other. So I don't know if there is a reason. We don't necessarily get a great deal of insight into Diane as the movie goes on.
I remember thinking that she seemed rather puckered-faced and off-put, and it served to highlight that she was not a social media user. And so, to me, in retrospect, as we're about to discover, it makes a certain premise more sellable, right? But anyway, we're about to get to this.
Yeah. So at this point, Violet is left alone in the sense she's got her drink. The men have fucked off in one way or another, and she's checking her phone. She is checking her phone, notably again, immediately. She's probably been gone for 10 minutes, but she's texting her sister to ask if Toby's okay. To say, send me a cute picture of Toby to make sure he's alive. And she's also flicking through Henry's presumably Tinder profile here. But while this is happening, it's at this point where Violet gets her first drop of the night, the eponymous drop.
Yeah.
From a application we see at the top of the screen called DigiDrop, which is stated and lampshaded in the movie at one point to not be airdrop. The legally distinct not airdrop.
No. DigiDrop, this is part of just the setup of the film. And apparently in this world, everyone has this app on their phone, or close enough to everyone. It's like a kind of like a social mediaized airdrop feature. You just have to accept that apparently everyone is fine with this app. I don't know. It's just like such an obvious security nightmare, and I just can't believe that people would just be so willing to. I don't know. This is where I discover I'm different from other people, because I just can't imagine allowing anyone to just drop anything onto my phone. I just no.
And to our character's credit, Violet seems very unfamiliar with this as well. We'll find out more about DigiDrop here in a bit.
Yeah.
But she's looking around because she gets a meme dropped to her from an account called Let's Play. Kind of talking about how her night might be ruined. And so, of course, she's going to look around and be like, what the fuck? What do you mean? And who's doing this type situation? But she, again, not very, I guess, technically savvy in this sense, doesn't really seem to know the limitations of this, of who could even do this to her. And so she just kind of moves on.
Yeah. She receives ever more specific and menacing and threatening memes. They start out kind of like just edgelord-like at first, but they have ever more specific information about her identity, about what she's doing in that exact moment. It becomes obvious that someone's watching her, someone's observing her covertly.
Absolutely. Somebody's invested in her night here, because one of the memes, she gets a couple while at the bar here. One of them, they're all these popular memes, whatnot. One of them is the car. The straight path is, you're going to have a great night, but hers is just skidding to the right on the, you're going to have a terrible night. And right as she's really trying to be like, what's happening here? Her date Henry arrives. Thank goodness, he's alive. He's here. He is here to date. And she greets him, and they are seated at their table pretty quickly, which is a table right by the window of this giant, tall-ass restaurant with a dizzying view, mind you. Henry, we find out here, is a photographer because he's got a big bag with him. He apologizes that he brings it with him. He says, somebody might steal my camera, and that seems reasonable enough. But also, I guess I should note before we move on, Henry shows up looking fine. Like, Violet looks fantastic. This is a very fancy restaurant. Everybody else kind of looks great as well. Most of the men are in suit jackets and whatnot, and Henry looks like he's okay. He's got like a wife beater on underneath, like an unbuttoned slightly, like he's button down shirt.
He's wearing a lot of swagger, and a lot of, I guess how would I put it, a certain kind of manly charm to, counterposed against Violet. Yes, Violet is dressed for a sophisticated dinner and date, and Henry, he's windswept. He's very windswept. He's fresh off the tarmac.
He's very charming. Yeah, frankly, he is dressed in charm, if nothing else. He makes a couple of inappropriate jokes, which he says is a defense mechanism, because Violet has her wine, of course, and he says, "Oh, you already have a drink?" And she's like, "Oh, yes, I do." And he says, "Well, I had a couple on the way over here in the car too, so we're even now." And
he's charming. He's a man. He is unpolished, rugged. There's a certain typical contrast between far more, well put together Violet. It's perhaps almost stereotypical, a certain kind of male-female. And
he has an accent I almost can't place. It was
dynamic.
Maybe Australian. He's very Hemsworth-like in qualities. He's rugged. He's beautiful. It's charming.
The accent. I was wondering about that. Whatever his accent, his voice is just pure gravel.
The actor's name is Brandon Sklenar, so it could be somewhat Nordic or something or other here. I almost certainly mispronounced that, by the way. Sklenar. I don't know if that rhymes with splainer or something, or Sklenar.
I think he's just from Jersey. I think he's just from New Jersey, from the strange, exotic far east of New Jersey.
Fantastic. I was way off.
I think it's just his voice. Really, it's pure gravel. I don't know what you have to do to get your voice to this quality. If it's just whiskey and unfiltered cigarettes for decades, starting at age 12. Or what? I don't know. But definitely. Yeah, he's got a voice. He is rugged, and he is a man. Oof.
He's dripping sex. It's not a bad thing to have to look at through the movie, all things considered. But we quickly learn that he's a photographer for the mayor. That's specifically what he's got his camera about. He has worked for him for several years. And he kind of chats Violet up about her job as a psychiatrist, too. There's just differences of that. But they frankly don't get very much further into conversation before Violet's phone buzzes again, which is going to happen about 300 more times in this movie. It is the worst date situation you can imagine, with Violet constantly having her phone buzzing. She never once considers putting it on silent, mind you, even when it's just these more benign things. She doesn't consider blocking this person, I suppose. She is ready to pick up her phone every damn chance she gets.
But it's because of her son. This is the first date that she's been on in quite a while. She's very nervous. She's very protective of her child, especially that opening scene, which has ever more context now. That was her child in that scene, and as we discovered, that was her ex-husband. So she's just, everything about this is a very kind of fraught moment for her. But it's if for no other reason than just her child is away, and she's just very worried. So she feels compelled to be able to access her phone at all times, which becomes a powerful weakness of hers as she discovers.
And it's an excuse for her as the film goes on to say why she's looking at her phone all the time. Yeah. But she gets another Digidrop meme in this case. I'm not sure if this is the one of the WWE meme of somebody that I should probably know. I'm not a straight man. I'm sorry.
Was it Undertaker?
That was my guess, but I could name you like 5 of them, and he's one of them. Yeah. But he's looking over somebody's shoulder, saying your night, and then it's me in the background, like about to like fuck up her night type something. And she gets another one. I forget exactly what order this comes in, but she does get a text from Jen with a cute photo of Toby, and then she gets another Digidrop of famous cardboard sign holding guy saying, gonna mess up your night here. And so she at this point shares this with Henry, because Henry's like, what's going on? Why are you checking your phone? And she passes it across the table and is like, what is happening here? Like, I'm getting these things. This is odd. And Henry clearly knows a little more about Digidrop than she does, because he says, oh, so this is Digidrop, and what's going on here is that this can happen with anybody within 50 feet. And so he's looking around the restaurant, and that pretty much means the whole of the actual restaurant itself is within 50 feet. And he even gets up and measures at one point in a cute little I'll measure it, wink, wink way of his, again, charm that's just ripping off him. And goes around to say, yeah, this is about 50 feet. You can't, the lobby's like way out of range, the hostess's stand is out of range, the kitchen's out of range, but it leaves pretty much everybody within eyesight as a potential suspect for this. And however, that still doesn't narrow it down, because every time Violet looks around in these cases, pretty much everybody's on their phone in a very modern way, and a thing that is absolutely bound to happen in today.
And this moment, I love how it was filmed. At this point, Violet is getting kind of strung out. She's just been beset upon by the presence of one kind of menacing man after another, culminating in the worst of them all, whoever is behind these Digidrops. And Henry in this moment takes it upon himself to scout out the perimeter. It's a very almost primal moment of her man scouting the boundaries of their domain and for her protection.
For sure, it's a very protective look.
And she has a look towards him that does seem to connote this. It's very dewy-eyed and just, he's dreamy. After finally finding one decent man in this entire restaurant.
She has been looking for that apparently her whole life, and has really failed to find this. I don't know. It's always exactly her type. But I think I forgot to mention in that last meme with Cardboard Guy, it mentions her name. It says Violet at the end of it. And that is where she also discusses with Henry, like, how can you even know this? And Henry's like, okay, let's open up the app, and shows Violet that apparently, again, in this magical app, there is a picture of her and her name right there, which, for not knowing anything about the app, I don't know how that got there, mind you.
Which I guess we can assume that this has something to do with the mysterious utility box inspector, the meter reader at the beginning of the film. I guess she seems
maybe it seems like
surprised.
Everyone has it on there, though. It could be more akin to an Apple ID type something. Perhaps in this world, your Apple ID, because most people have a picture and whatever on that.
I was wondering about this. Just how did this app get on her phone? She seems surprised about it, like she doesn't understand how it works, and that's why.
This is one of the biggest stretches of the movie, in the sense where you have to suspend a bit of disbelief, because it does. Henry's not alarmed at all in this sense, so I don't know if it ties back to anything sinister. Henry's just like, oh, this is just a thing. thing, Violet. I guess clearly you're just dumb or something. And so he shows her, there's a grid, a little circle where you can see several people all around them that also have their faces and names. And you see the Let's Play person who has a devil emoji instead of his actual face there. But also at the bottom of the screen, he scrolls past and he shows that just about everybody in the restaurant is on this. So this is not something that is uncommon. It is just something Violet apparently has an enormous blind spot to.
Again, one of these premises you just have to accept in order to continue. And we'll get back to this later.
For sure,
I
for sure.
I can maybe gripe about this.
She apparently
film.
doesn't go in the outside world again and hangs out with a 5-year-old, so it's not shocking. I guess she's not on the cutting edge of technology. We'll say.
True. That's actually a good point. Maybe that does explain why she's a bit unfamiliar with what has been happening in the last 18 to 24 months.
Right.
Sure.
So at this point, we meet probably the best character of the film. His name is Matt. He is a waiter we are going to meet many times throughout this film.
Yes.
Matt also kind of clocks that they're on a first date, and much to his oversharing delight, Matt decides to say, well, this is actually my first shift. Oh my gosh, this is Kismet or something. And Max is an enormous homosexual. Not a giant homosexual, mind you. He is just a very enormously homosexual man character.
I was wondering about this. I didn't know if he was just really high key, or do you think that this is actually a gay male character?
They never state it, I'll say, but this is played by a guy named Jeffrey Self, who is gay in real life, and whose IMDb credits include such things as Gay Man Number 1, and being in one of my favorite shows of the last few years, Search Party, where he plays the boyfriend of one of the main characters. So I'm assuming it's not too much of a reach here that this character is.
He was cast for number 1.
I know.
Wow,
right?
he was the primary gay. Ooh.
So I'm going to go ahead and just assume this homosexual delight of a character is in fact a gay man. But he info dumps on them immediately the fact that this is his first shift, which of course sets Violet and Henry a little like, oh wow, this is going to be a night, mind you.
What a fun moment for you.
But in the tradition of, I should mention, he is a brown-haired bearded man in this movie. Like,
once again.
God help us all.
Cheaper by the dozen, really.
And so, again, Violet is beset upon by a man just sharing too much of her with a brown-haired man with a beard, because he shares that his biggest love in life is his improv classes. Yeah. And do you know about Second City, which is a very famous Chicago organization? If you, the listener, are not familiar with this, that is almost a feed system, a farm system for Saturday Night Live. People like Colbert and Steve Carell and Amy Poehler and stuff have come up through this. And so it is a very notable Chicago institution. And that said, their next question to Matt is, do you have like a show there or something? And he sort of gets sad and is like, oh, I'm just in classes. But but he continues to go on until finally, mercifully, Matt wanders off and is set off to do something else. And Henry and Violet share a moment of literally saying to each other, wow, that was a lot.
And it is. We're really understating it. Matt is a fun character and is some needed comic relief, because the film is getting kind of heavy at this point for sure, and Matt saves the day multiple times just in terms of the mood.
He absolutely does. He's the moment of levity that is going to be bungee jumping in here and there whenever things get a bit too heavy.
Yeah.
And I do think Jeffrey Self nails this character. It's grand fun.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Where do we find ourselves now? Drops have been explained, but they're not slowing down at all. Let's see.
For sure. And we should mention Henry's being extremely sweet to Violet. He does show great interest in her to the point where he knows that she has a son. She has a son, and so he pulls out of his bag a hockey puck. It's insinuated in this scene. Honestly, it's never mentioned again that they've just transplanted, but he seems to say, since you're new to Chicago and you have a son, I want to make sure he likes the Chicago, you would think Blackhawks, but actually it doesn't seem to be a Blackhawks puck, so it is a legally distinct hockey team in Chicago that is not the Blackhawks, mind you. But he gives Violet a hockey puck and says, is that weird? And Violet, to her credit, probably smitten with this beautiful man, is like, this isn't weird at all. It's kind of weird. But
yeah, it's a cute gesture.
It is a cute gesture. I've never been given a hockey puck. I guess I can't tell you the exact emotions behind it. But now Violet has a hockey puck in her purse, which could come up later.
Yes.
But during this sharing of with Henry on the Digidrop stuff, and Henry going and searching around the restaurant, and Violet sort of scanning about, Violet does receive another drop, talking about how they see her trying to find them. So again, she is clearly being watched and observed pretty closely.
Yeah, they go to great lengths to let her know just how tightly observed and really controlled every movement and every gesture she does is. They assert very clearly that she is under total surveillance, and even worse, she's directed to check her security cameras. She has another app on her phone that's the cameras in her house.
Well, first she gets, and this is another magic feature of this magic app, she starts getting texts instead of just drops. Direct text to her from this, and these now say ready and time to get to work, which confounds Violet a little bit, but that is the next thing, absolutely, where she is told to check her security cameras and, frankly, not to tell Henry anymore about this.
Yeah, her ability to communicate is also being very, very closely monitored. Her attempts to convey any kind of information or to dial out in any way are being just intercepted every time. She isn't clear exactly how she's being monitored, but
Which it clearly is. And when Violet opens up her security cameras, because again, I genuinely don't think at this point in the film we've been told she's a survivor of domestic abuse, but this is another giant insinuation. She has about 20 security cameras through the house, and so it both hints at potentially that and the fact that she's very protective over Toby.
Yeah.
Because she's got every corner of this house covered.
We're definitely, we've picked up on it just, again, with the opening scene and things as they've unfolded. Her particular worry about being away from her child, her counseling. It's understandable why she would have a very good camera setup. But she does discover that there's a man in her house, a man with a balaclava, face mask and
waving a silenced pistol around.
It's definitely someone ready for assassination and murder, who, unbeknownst to her sister, who's babysitting her son and her son, is in the house ready to presumably do the bidding of whoever is also menacing her with memes and text messages.
Yeah, Violet's clearly doing well. Her house is pretty big for a single mother in Chicago type situation, so good for her, frankly. Atta girl. Because Jen has no idea at this point, and Toby don't, that there's a man in the house. And Violet's told essentially if she wants to keep it that way and to keep her family safe, she's going to do what the account tells her, not share this with Henry, and go from here. And so this, of course, shakes her a great deal, mind you.
That's a good point. Let's talk about just how wealthy. Yeah, that's actually, now that you say it, this is kind of one of those like sitcoms in the '90s kind of things where it's just they're a poor downtrodden middle class family, but geez, I mean, they have like a 5-6 bedroom house with 8 bathrooms apparently, and it's like 8,000 square feet. Just, I guess, based
just
on
for her and Toby too, mind you. This is not. Jen does not live here. She did not invite her to live here. Maybe she should have. We don't know as much about Jen. She seems to be more the fuck up sister. Violet does not care.
They didn't mention that this is the preeminent psychologist in Chicago, I guess. Wow. So there you go.
So Violet Shagan, at this point, is she's told to go to the bathroom, so she gets up and goes, and she immediately is trying to sort of stymie this and nip this in the bud by dialing 911 or such, but then a text comes through immediately being like, hey, don't do that. I can see this. And so at every turn here at the beginning, she's kind of finding out just how closely she's being watched, and it just, she's also looking around suspiciously each time this happens, and we're really sort of Everybody's on their phone. Once again, it's really not giving us a great clue into this. She doesn't have a suspect in mind at this point.
And she can't. She's forced to suspect even her date Henry, just if no other reason than his familiarity with the app itself.
Certainly, and he wasn't in view or anywhere near her the first time she was getting these drops, and they seemed to at least pause briefly while they were walking to their table or whatnot. And so as she's going to the bathroom, though, she does bump into the same brown-haired, bearded man that we have no context for, mind you. He's just kind of milling about the restaurant in this case. And she did bump into him the first time to the point that now when she bumps into him violently the second time, he says, if this keeps happening, I'm going to have to take this personal, mind you. And so she does get in the bathroom, though, and she's just trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you be shaken at this point? She's received no less than like 12 to 13 fairly directed text messages insinuating that not only is her night going to be ruined, but now she has a very, very firm reason to be shaken with man with gun in her house.
Yeah. As this is in a lot of ways a gothic horror tale of a young woman captive in a castle or a dungeon by some mysterious male presence. She's testing the limits of her captivity. She's looking for any place in the restaurant where she can't be observed, or either by audio or by video. And so she goes to the bathroom. She's hoping that maybe this is a place. Maybe there aren't cameras or microphones here.
Absolutely. She's in the stall for a bit, kind of trying to catch her breath, and there's three young women at the sinks there, and so she goes up to them and tries to sort of clandestinely ask for help in certain ways. She asks to borrow their eyeliner pencil, I believe, and write on her hand, but again is immediately chastised and admonished by this, saying like, "Hey, don't fucking do that. I can see you." And she also completely weirds these girls out, mind you, because she gets the eyeliner pencil and is trying to draw on her hand and immediately breaks the eyeliner pencil, trying to write out words with it, as everyone looks at her very oddly, and it's like, this fucking old lady just broke my eyeliner pencil in her hand. And then she's like, hands it back and is like, here you go.
It's I believe in the bathroom where a certain kind of transition happens. Before this point, whenever text messages through this Digidrop app arrive to her, it cuts to her phone. And so the camera is constantly cutting from her face to the phone, and it's this frantic back and forth editing. At this point, though, we start seeing the text of these messages projected on the wall behind her. It's like a projector behind her, throwing her these menacing text messages out into physical space.
It's very stylistic.
Yeah, it's a figurative device that seems to put her emotional state out there in a way that is more physically real. It's all by the implication of the edit before that, and now it's a very real element just in the world itself. And I had mixed feelings about this when we were watching it. I was wondering, is this just kind of cheesy? Is this almost kind of like laziness or something? Like they didn't know how to mix it up or keep it fresh, and so they're just trying to they resorted to something that seems very blunt, and I don't know. Like
it's very cinematic, I guess I'd say.
I've warmed up to it now. Like I feel like it was a way of evoking her inner turmoil, right? In a way that it was very much this had become her world, and so they depicted it by making it her physical world too, right? Just to really drive this this point home, I feel. And so it's
For
like,
sure.
yeah, okay. I've come around to it. It's like I respect the figurative gesture now, I think.
For all the little video heads out there, I'm sure this is a problem that a lot of directors have to tackle in film and media these days, because phones are such a big part of our life, as Violet's seeing, looking around. There's going to be text happening between characters, and you have to choose as a director and filmmaker, how are you going to display this? Because it's not always an interesting shot to be looking just down at a phone type something. And so that, I believe, is where we're led here to the director was probably like, okay, let's zhuzh this up a little bit. Let's get this up in, out in a big old cinematic, flashy way type something.
Yeah, it just how do you convey the emotional impact of what's happening when it's just her fundamentally reading text messages, but it's clearly more meaningful than that. And so, yeah, that's definitely a cinematic conundrum with the information age, in that consuming information does not look very sexy at all. A lot of times,
it would be a boring movie. It's
you hunched over a device, oh geez, yeah. So
which is still in there a whole lot, mind you. Yeah, they definitely mix it up a bit here and all of that, and so two things happen in the bathroom scene that kind of wrap this up, because, God, I don't know how far we are in the movie at this point, but she finds a recording device or something. It really doesn't elaborate what it is in the film, but a little black box with a blue light kind of behind the mirror, where it at least insinuates that the audio is being presented here, if not video as well, from away. And then because she's being punished, whatnot, for trying to ask for help from these girls, she's told to check the security cameras again, and we see the man go through and kind of comically almost pistol whip Jen in the head, sister-wise, and Jen just sprawls out there. And then he picks Toby up and puts him in his room, and I don't think this guy is good at his job, because he does not secure the windows. He doesn't do anything with Toby in the room. He puts him in there, he just kind of chucks him in on the bed, and then he just ties the door up with an extension cord. Like, he doesn't tie Toby up with the extension cord. He doesn't tie Jen up, even though she's just presumably unconscious and not dead. He just confines him to his room. He seems, and this is a running that I think he's bad at his job. I don't know where they found him, mind you.
Yeah,
balaclava man.
It's just. Why not just get some rope and extension cord and just tie him up? I don't know. I just didn't secure the windows. Didn't see if there was anything. I mean, again, it's a small child, so okay. I thought that was odd. I'm just like,
he locks himself out of Toby's room. It's like he cannot get into Toby's room quickly. He would have to unwrap a whole extension cord to do this.
If I'm some henchman, I think I would just tie a kid up. I don't know, but that's just
maybe I'm old-fashioned, or we're old-fashioned.
I know. Yeah. So, but anyway, Toby is confined, and
Jen is unconscious.
The
Toby's
sister
confined.
gets clocked. So. And this is Violet is being punished for not obeying, for her disobedience, and the grand metaphor of her being a captive, abused woman. It's playing out, and it's developing, right? And the entire scenario really is a complicated metaphor for the nuances and the particularities of captivity in a domestic abuse environment, and she is at the phase of punishments for disobedience, and so yes,
absolutely. Violet, this has happened now, and of course this shakes her more than ever, but again, she's told not to share any of this with Henry. She's on a date. She's on a first date, and she's already not very good at this. We've established that right away, and now she has to be very not good at this while now having a terrible secret weighing upon her that she cannot share with anybody. And so she comes back from the bathroom, clearly shaken, visibly so, and Henry's like, hey, are you okay? And she has to sort of make up, again, not necessarily a lie, because she is nervous about being away from Toby type something, but saying there's a bedtime emergency, and that she needed to help him find a stuffed animal, a lammy or something, and plays this off pretty well to start. It gets harder and harder as this goes on. Again, when your phone buzzes 300 times and you're putting your date off quite a lot, it gets difficult.
But once again, it's the effects of domestic abuse, at least, by way of this metaphor, she cannot, she is unable to communicate with those around her what is happening to her, or she feels it is not safe to do so.
And she's great at doing it. So as another point to that domestic abuse, like if somebody's in that situation for quite some time, which is insinuated as we find out more has been years, she's very good at covering up in this sense and making sure everything's all right. She has an excuse she can pull out when she needs, and she does it well. So, but it is a sort of trend that continues as this movie goes on, that Violet is an awful date. Mind you, she has very big reasons to be, but...
From Henry's perspective, with him being utterly unaware of what's happening, she seems like a complete mess. Just nuts. Just nuts. Unfortunately, and it's a lot of the tension. Did we skip over? She's given a job to do.
I think that's it. Honestly, since we saw a early release of this, we cannot go back and rewind this. I believe I've gotten most of this in chronological order. If I didn't, feel free to write whatever hate mail you like. But
there's quite a bit of cat and mouse in her testing where she can be observed and can't be observed, and she's trying to communicate out and dial out, and it's all being thwarted. And ultimately, she discovers what it's all about. Like, why is she being put in this elaborate scenario to begin with?
And I don't think it happens quite yet, at least per my notes on this stuff. What I have next happening is Violet finds on our table the exact same looking black box with a blue light, figuring out, oh, this is also perhaps how I'm being watched so closely. And so she asks Henry, who then asks Blessed King Matt if they can change tables. And Matt, once again, in a lovely scene, is excited for this to happen. He says, oh, let me go handle this for you. And he goes off and handles it and comes back absolutely just delighted with himself and says, I pulled some strings for you. I know some people. And walks them over to another table. But at that moment, when they have... Violet thinks she's potentially outsmarted somebody again. She gets a text saying, go back to your original table, which... Again, Violet looks like a crazy person here when she immediately has to backtrack this after saying, I don't want to sit at this table. I'm a little afraid of heights, because the table they're being taken to is more in the center of the restaurant. And all of a sudden she has to backtrack that and be like, you know what? I love heights. Actually, I'm A-okay with this. Confusing both Matt and Henry, who are like... Okay.
She's being run ragged by her secret turmoil, and unfortunately she's running everyone else ragged to accommodate and to deal with it, and just as a result of the position she's being put in. But unfortunately, because no one knows her inner turmoil, she just again seems like a hot mess.
And this crushes Matt. Matt was so excited to succeed on his first night at doing a thing for somebody he thought was going to make them so happy, and immediately she snatches that joy from Matt. It's not yours anymore.
and Henry too. He's a real trooper. He's a real gentleman. He is hanging in there, but he's hanging by a thread. Because
and critically, as he's hanging by a thread here, Violet has also texted saying, in no uncertain terms, she has to keep her date there, or else her family will be killed. Yeah. And so now there are bigger stakes, even though Violet looks like a psychotic person to keeping her date there. So she really has to try to lie and do a better job of not looking like a crazy person.
We find out that she has a very specific task, or in fact, two, that she must perform. The first one, we mentioned that Henry is a photographer. In the course of conversation between Violet and Henry, we discover that he's actually attached to the City of Chicago mayor's office, the longtime photographer of the mayor. And a conversation about, especially his opinion of this person, his response is very tight-lipped, very tense. She
does ask if he's a good person, and he does not immediately respond with yes. So yeah.
We get the feeling that something is wrong. Perhaps the mayor is not a great person, or there is some dark cloud over how Henry is answering. There's something going on, and we find out that the mysterious Digidrop menace wants Violet to steal the SD card out of Henry's camera. There's apparently photographs on here that are extremely sensitive or valuable. And in the process of examining the content of the camera, she of course wants to know just why this is so important. Why is she being tortured in this way? We see photographs of documents.
That comes up in a bit because she immediately is sort of texts back and she doesn't text back often to this person, mind you. But in this case, where she's assigned a task where she doesn't have any idea how she's going to do it, she just texts back, "How?" Being like, "Excuse me, how do I do this?" And so a couple of things happen here in between Violet working towards that goal.
Yeah.
One of them is the blind date. Diane's had enough. She is done with this man over in the corner. We don't necessarily see why, but she stands up, calls him a terrible person, and is out of there.
Yeah.
And the second thing is because the hostess, I believe, I think this is it. It could be Matt's boss in some way, but probably because it's Matt's first shift, comes over to double check if the table's okay and to see that Matt didn't screw this up in some way. And we get an interesting bit of information in that regard because she asks if the table's fine, and they say it is. Violet's especially like, yes, it's fine. Please don't make me move tables. I need to be here, essentially, without saying that. And the hostess says, well, I know you specifically reserved this table, Henry, speaking to him. And Henry denies that. He says, I didn't specifically reserve this table. I just reserved a table with a view. And this sparks a little concern in Violet, at least, to think like, if he's reserved this table and there's a bug on this table, then perhaps I'm meant to be here and not for good reason, but fomented by potentially my date.
So once again, she's forced to suspect even Henry, because once again, there's an odd coincidence, first with his familiarity with this Digidrop app, and now apparently, did he request this table specifically? And did he not? But there is a bug at the table. So once again, she can't trust anyone. She's once again isolated at a moment when she really does need someone's help.
It's extremely isolating. She has nobody at this point in the movie because if she suspects Henry, then she truly has nobody. He was the protective force, at least so far. Yeah. Jen's knocked out. Toby's playing with Legos in his room. Again, he's not tied up. He's probably fine. but nobody else in the restaurant necessarily is her friend in this case. And she's got a mystery person really doing the best to screw up her night. So she has a task, though.
It's to get this memory card out of Henry's camera. He apparently has photographed things that someone would like the photographs destroyed. And so Violet must figure out some way to do this.
She has a pretty clever way she executes it, if I'm being honest. I think it was one of the better thoughts of her movie type something. Yeah. She slyly slips off her watch and puts it in her purse. And then she pulls up her blank wrist and goes, oh my gosh, my watch clasp, I've been meaning to get that fixed. I might have dropped it by the hostess stand because that's the last place I know I had it. She complimented it. And I'm going to look around here, Henry, but can you go talk to the hostess and see if anybody's turned it in or if it's up there or something? And so that does get him up and moving. He goes through the magic tunnel and off, so he's fairly removed. But Violet, she honestly gets a bit nosy in this moment because the job was not look at the camera pictures and figure out what's happening. It was just grab the SD card, and I don't think she has reason to assume he'll be gone that long, frankly. This isn't a long conversation to be had with the hostess.
Well, it's movie time.
It's absolutely for our benefit what happens
time
next.
Time dilates at convenient moments, and this is one of those.
So us as the viewer, what we see, and Violet sees also, and intakes here, is first there are just a couple of pictures of the mayor, whatever, but then as she scrolls past a few more, she sees documents, wire transfer things that presumably would have no reason to be photographed unless they were of some sinister or useful nature, mind you.
So it becomes clear that Henry has discovered something quite scandalous, and so scandalous, in fact, that it's worth this elaborate setup that Violet is trapped in.
And it also gives a much bigger reason why he would bring the camera into the restaurant with him.
Yeah,
further than it might be stolen, because that seems... sure, cameras are expensive. He specifically says, if this is stolen, I'm out of a job. So, of course, but now we have double reason to see why he
but
might
also
have
just
this here.
the contents of that memory card are very precious and
Very sensitive.
and very could draw quite a bit of danger to himself. So, yeah, so Henry is distracted with Violet's ruse about her watch. She is examining the content of this card, but realizes Henry is approaching, so she wraps that up.
And in movie time, just in time,
Yes.
she gets it out and puts it back, zips up the bag.
Fumbles just enough to make it tense, but gets the card out just in time.
And so she now has it, and immediately, just about, she gets an instruction, now take it to the bathroom and smash it.
Yeah.
And so she's like, all right, this is probably going to be the thing they need. Let's just do it. And so she makes up another excuse, one of many, to go to the bathroom, even though she's probably spent 2.5 minutes with Henry total at this point. She keeps fucking off to the bathroom or to wherever else or on her phone.
The so-called search for her watch takes her into the women's bathroom.
That's true. That was the last place she was as well. She's like, oh, it must have come off in there then. So she does have a great lie. Again, she's doing very well at this, mind you. And so she ends up popping in the bathroom. And she fairly... right away, finds a nice heavy thing, puts the SD card on the counter, and starts to just smash the hell out of it to the point where a woman that is about to come into the bathroom opens the door, sees this woman with a very violent expression on her face smashing an SD card on the counter, and just backs out of there. Says, actually, I'll go to the bathroom later.
Yeah, a bit of cathartic relief, I suppose, for Violet. But yeah, she does startle another restaurant goer.
She's not making friends in the bathroom for sure.
No, she keeps. Yeah, she's always imposing on someone in the bathroom, unfortunately. But yeah, so she destroys
she does
the
it. She flushes it. Yeah. Oh, no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And does text her mysterious meme dropping menace. Is this it? Is this all? Release my child. But unfortunately, she has a second job, and this is where.
And she's also told she's not in charge here, because she might even say it out loud, knowing she's being monitored in the bathroom. She was like, I did it, release my kids, and then gets a menacing message back, you were not in charge. Again, and I believe the big old splatter text on the background type something of...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we get more of the projected onto the wall effect here.
But as it turns out, it's great that Violet is alone and was a weird-ass psycho that scared off somebody, because the next task is involving open the towel dispenser and get something out of there.
Yeah. We discovered that hidden there is a small vial of poison that Violet is now being tasked with taking and spiking Henry's drink with. It's not just enough to destroy the memory card in his camera. Henry himself has to be offed, and now it is Violet's job to somehow get this poison into him.
And this is where we come into the biggest probably hook of this movie for the trailer as to why I wanted to see this movie, why a lot of people I know wanted to see it, is because you now have the task of killing your date to protect your son and your family, which is the really core sort of pathos of this movie, or really the thing driving it, and something that's a very primal sense of like, pick between two things you love. It's a sort of Sophie's choice. It's not necessarily, I wouldn't go that far in the sense that obviously she's not known this person a great deal, but to date he's seemed like a great guy from everything we've seen, both in what he's said, what he's done, and the fact that he is being saintly, frankly, about how she's acting.
Well, yeah, for sure. So he almost leaves. She convinces him to stay with a passionate kiss. He again, he's a real trooper.
That's true.
He is interested and is willing to endure a lot. Again, again, Violet must come across as just a total hot mess, just wanting to change tables, losing her watch, getting up, getting down, constantly frantically checking her phone.
And she's not been there long enough to order food at all. They've ordered an appetizer to a point with another little tiny Matt scene of funniness because the appetizer did come right before she went to the bathroom. But when she gets back, they see Matt boxing up the food and asking, "Do you want a box to go?" And he's like, "No, I don't even want this. The coconut calamari, mind you." But yeah, she panics at that point because, again, not only if her date leaves is she going to fail her task, but her family's going to die. And so that passionate kiss is a moment of, as he's walking away, she grabs him by the arm and yanks him into that as a sort of last-ditch effort, which thankfully for her works. Honestly, she must be 13 of 10 Henry's type because that is enough to get, not only enough to get him to stay, but again, through all of the things he goes through in this movie, he puts up with it. So he must have not been late in years, or Violet is his exact perfect type of like made in a lab for him or something. Yeah. But Henry says, you know what, fine, I'll stay. And so this is back down, and they do at this point decide to order up some food, Violet says. And she's kind of texting back at this point while the menu's in her lap, being she's kind of covering it up. Because, again, she looks like a crazy person on her phone all the time. She's trying to look less crazy, at least a little bit, being like, I am on my phone, but maybe you won't see this time. And so she's really trying to figure out how to potentially get out of this or something, but to no avail, at least.
Yeah, and this we get some flashback content at when she is presented with the dilemma of having to murder someone. We discovered that there was a cloud of suspicion over her and the death of her ex-husband. At this point, we've seen that he died of suicide, right?
I think that's, oh my God, no, I think that comes later at this point. It's really...
trying to remember that.
This movie does really slowly peel back layers of the onion type stuff. Yeah. And so again, we apologize. We weren't able to watch this twice to necessarily nail this all down type something, but they do have a couple of flashback scenes here or there scattered about.
But we discovered that there was suspicion that she actually shot her ex-husband. Just her fingerprints were on the gun, even though the audience see that it's because he forced a gun into her hand and loudly, frantically threatened or demanded that she shoot him, and that's why she was holding the gun at one point. But she was suspected of killing her ex-husband, and now she's presented with this cloud once again with being forced to kill her date, kill Henry.
Right. I think the flashback here is actually the one that reveals that Toby is there. I don't think the opening scene shows Toby, but it does show that Violet no longer has the gun because I think she pulls the trigger and it doesn't fire. I don't know exactly what happened in the sense of because the husband immediately takes the gun back as if it is loaded and whatnot, but it's not a revolver. This isn't like I took one out of the chamber. It's like a clip type something.
Yeah,
so,
it either misfired or the safety was on. But she does not fire the gun, it does not fire.
And so we see the husband, sort of pointing at Toby, and once again we're into the theme of a man is threatening her child.
One
of these various brown-haired fucks is threatening her child with his beard, with his gun. It's just a lot in that. And so after that flashback happens, she does kind of trauma dump on Henry some of this because they do start talking a bit more after ordering food about she's like, oh, your photographer job, whatever, and he's like, he shifts that away and is like, oh, but what you do is pretty important or big or whatever, like you actually like help people with their lives type something. And she talks about how she works with domestic abuse survivors, and then obviously his next question is like, oh my gosh, well, like, how did you get into that or something? And this is where it comes up that her husband was an abuser in this case. I think she even in a sort of flowery language before talks about how her ex-husband passed away in the movie. But at this point now, she's sharing a bit more with Henry and about how he was not a great guy. And she doesn't quite, I don't think, talk about the murder scene or whatever happened, whatever we see going on there and have been flashing back to. But we do learn that she was abused. They've been hinting at it all movie. All the breadcrumbs we've talked about and stuff.
That she was a survivor of domestic abuse. And in many ways, it speaks to how why they bond, like why they do seem to have a connection. Both Henry and Violet, they both have men in their lives who have disappointed them profoundly, and they bond over this and their hope that there's maybe one good person out there. So Violet is now being tasked with killing Henry, and she's got a vial of poison.
And I think at this point, she goes up, she gets up again. Again, God bless Henry. Like, he has every reason to leave in this case. And Violet gets up to go to the hostess stand, where she's trying to figure out if anybody else requested a specific table besides Henry that night, because she, at this point, also suspects maybe somebody has picked a table to watch her, because she's very much being watched. And again, the little black box probably doesn't have a camera in it. I wouldn't think. It's very tiny. And given that the angles in the bathroom and whatnot that she's found them in and on her table, somebody probably is watching her. And so she's trying to inquire with this, but the hostess has no reason to answer this question. It's like a weird privacy thing that, why would I tell you this? But the hostess does say, no, and then walks off to seat another party, which leaves Violet alone with the phone and the computer at the hostess stand. So, as previously mentioned, this area, once you've gone through the tunnel and the hostess stand, you're out of range of the 50-foot of the Digidrop. And she even looks at her phone and sees that person sort of drop off the blip. So she can no longer be dropped in this moment. However, right as she goes to dial 911 on the phone line, it takes all of about 3 or 4 seconds before the line is cut, which it's a wireless phone. I don't know exactly what happened here. I'm kind of just I'm just gonna let that go again.
The boundaries of where a signal drops and resumes. Whatever. Again, some premises you just have to accept. So she moves on to the computer immediately, though. She goes to the domestic survivors abuse website or whatnot, where she is clearly familiar with this and knows that there's live chat available. Yeah, the National Domestic Abuse Hotline. National Domestic Abuse Hotline.
So she takes advantage of this live chat to immediately get somebody on the phone and just types help at first, or help me. And so somebody texts back, what do you need help with? I'm here for you. And she has the message typed out to say, help me, there are 2 hostages at this address.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and pause right here. We don't want to overburden anyone. We have more to talk about with Drop. And so I hope you tune in shortly for Drop Episode 2, coming up soon.